Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is my Vexcalibur, my ghost to my Guardian, the man, the myth, the legend, the Iron Lord, the, what do we say, the grandfather, question mark?
Don't like where this is going. I don't like where this is going.
Josh Finney's here, everybody.
Ugh.
That was in relation to all the Discord members making us feel like ancient people.
Yeah, so I have a bone to pick, okay? I'm just going to jump in right off the bat because Fox the other night, we're doing Root of Nightmares, and somehow Adam Sandler movies came up in the conversation, and he goes, Adam Sandler's never made a good movie.
What?
And I says, that's how you know that you're a youngin'. I was like, so you've never seen Billy Madison, you've never seen Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer, Big Daddy, Mr. Deeds. What's the other one I'm thinking? Waterboy.
Yeah, come on, man.
You've never seen those, and I was like, that's just like the 90s, and that's like the
Airheads.
80s and 90s. I was like, you've never seen Punch Drunk Love? Like, if you want a more serious Adam Sandler, Punch Drunk Love. Uncut Gems, arguably his best movie.
Spanglish was pretty good.
Spanglish is phenomenal.
That movie about 9/11 with Don Cheadle, what was that called? Rain on Me. Have you seen that one?
I got too sad, so I turned it off.
Fair.
It's the one piece of 9/11 media that makes me really sad.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah, no, like Adam Sandler is like fucking great. He was like, yeah, I mean, like Grown Ups was okay. I was like, oh boy, listen, my son, there was an Adam Sandler before the last like 10 to 15 years. It arguably all went downhill with Click.
Yeah, Click was not very good.
I was like, but then he came back like 15 years later and did Uncut Gems, and all was forgiven. So, because he was like, man, Pixels sucks ass. I was like, yeah, it does. It's a post 2008 Adam Sandler movie. Of course, it's Longest Yard. Does anybody like Longest Yard around here?
It's
do. Great. It's
great. Movie's amazing.
So yeah,
another sad movie.
We were roasting this youngin. It was bad.
Fox. Come on,
I was highly disappointed. I was like, I gotta roast his ass tonight. Ugh. Man. So disappointed. In fact, we're gonna get a question out of the way right off the bat. Tiger Jesus 64, who was in there with us, asks, "What Adam Sandler reference would you like to see as an emote?" That one, I feel like that one's hard. I mean, I think you have to go like a Big Daddy, like pissing on the wall.
Yeah, but is that too Calvin and Hobbes though?
Yeah, it's too Calvin and Hobbes. Like you can't do it. I think it's really hard to think of like a specific Adam Sandler moment.
You could still stick with Big Daddy though, like when the kid's like yelling kangaroo song, he's like, "All right." I don't know how you make that an.
I don't know, but that would be good.
Yeah.
It's because like so many of the Adam Sandler things that like I think of as funny are like as quips.
Tapping in is a good one.
Tapping in would be good. I feel like you could do like a Happy Gilmore pose.
Yeah.
I feel like I would need something from like Waterboy or Longest Yard in there.
Yeah.
It's funny, like everything that I thought of that you could do, I was like, fuck, that's Will Ferrell. Like, fuck.
H2O would be a good one. High quality H2O.
There's some good ones you can do. Rest assured though, Fox, you are extremely young and you're showing it.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed in you.
You know, Fox, I like
Ronnie also asks, is Fox kicked off the day one raid team for the Adam Sandler comment? No, but he's on life support.
He's limited to the reserves, the bench.
Well, I don't know about that considering we had a guy with commitment issues on our team. So
oh, no.
I don't know if we can kick Fox.
Oh no. It's fine.
I will say that was the two funniest moments of our day one raid. Both involved Dealer and Nadiki. One of them was on Encounter 3, the Explicator of Planets. We were about to go into Final Stand, and Nadiki was like, "No, let's hold off. Let's get into a whole nother phase in." And Dealer and I were like, "Nope, fuck it, we go," and we killed the boss there. And he's like, "I'll be honest, I didn't think we were gonna do it." And I was like, dude, we both had ammo. We knew we were killing him. We had ammo and I had a super. And then we got Nezarec down to final stand on contest. He ran out to go get heavy ammo, and all you hear is dealers screaming, get your ass back here at him because he ran out past the boss. And like Nezarec likes to like follow people. So we were like, no, what are you doing? I had fallen off the map and had jumped back up. I had fallen down to a safe place and had precariously jumped back up throughout the damage phase. So I had full heavy, a super, everything. We're like, what are you doing? I'm going to kill him right here. He just needs to face me so I can hit his feet.
Wow.
Yeah. It was bad. It was bad, but I digress.
I'm supposedly running the raid for the first time tomorrow night, so
okay, well, good luck, have fun. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
if you're going with Fox, you're probably going to get the exotic.
Yeah, I think it's Ronnie, Fox, some other people. Not 100% sure who's all in, but I'll get it. I'm gonna get it.
If you get the exotic, I'm going to be very upset.
You know me and my exotic luck. You know,
so. They were like, what are the odds of Corey getting the exotic? I was like, probably pretty high. I was like, get it, he'll look at it, and it'll be thrown into the vault.
I want to be clear, I haven't gotten Vex Mythoclass yet, so
no, but Fox seems to have this curse that every time he takes somebody through a raid for the very first time, they get the exotic. So
good. Keep it up, Fox.
Keep it.
Might not make fun of you the next episode.
We might not, but you know what we will be doing next episode? We'll probably be talking about some of these quality of life changes because there's a lot of them to talk about this week. We got a special blog from Joe Blackburn this week, addressing
reflecting on Lightfall.
Yep.
Okay.
Reflecting on Lightfall launch and beyond. This is something that players have kind of been calling for since the first week of Lightfall. Like, hey, we need you to address some things. The game obviously did not launch as well as Lightfall did. I mean, we've even given our review of it at this point. And Ronnie asked a question, how do we feel a month in, later on in the show. But I don't think there's much more that we can really say without talking in circles. I think that we've covered it. Nerd's given some opinions, Dealer's given some opinions, Andre's given some. Like, we've had a variety of folks give their opinions at this point on the release. And I think we all come down kind of about the same. Some of us a little bit harder on it than others. And we've always been clear, like the expansion release is, that's just one piece of the puzzle. Like the seasons help add a lot to it. And I think there's been a steady release of content so far. But I want to read what Joe has to say here before we jump into the different sections that he tackles. Some of the things that we can note here at the very beginning. With Lightfall's launch, Destiny 2 saw its highest number of concurrent players in years. We welcomed more new lights, returning players, and daily active players than we did with the Witch Queen's launch last year. That's huge. We do know that Lightfall was bigger in terms of concurrent players on Steam than any time up to and including the launch on Steam with Shadowkeep. That was the only time that got as high as Lightfall, and Lightfall topped that, which was over 1 million concurrent Steam players. And so that's just Steam. Take into account what you have on console on top of that. That's huge. We surpassed our sales expectations for a new expansion and are absolutely blown away by the record-breaking viewership for our world's first race with Root of Nightmares. Lightfall's soundtrack even debuted as the #1 soundtrack on iTunes to get some very steep competition, which warmed our hearts to see. But we have to pave the way for what's to come. Here's a message from Joe Blackburn. We're floored by how many new and returning faces have been devouring Destiny 2 these last few weeks, and it's clear the initial experience we delivered on day one didn't provide the full clarity we originally planned for when we set out creating Lightfall. The team has taken the feedback to heart in both what's coming this year and how we're ending the Light and Dark saga in the final shape. Over the last few years, the team has set a high bar on what to expect from Destiny 2's evolving world, and we're committing to making sure the resolution of our first saga lives up to that legacy. We'll continue to build towards that resolution throughout the year of Lightfall, and I can't wait to experience the conclusion to this saga alongside all of you as we make our way to the final shape. Of course, there's plenty to come between now and then. We've taken a broad look at community feedback across the game since launch and have been working to address several areas in the coming weeks, while also forging ahead on content for our upcoming seasons. So everything we're going to discuss in this blog is in response to player feedback, not necessarily complaints, but just feedback. How we're all feeling about this as a whole. I think that Corey and I can pretty easily say like there were some areas that we were fairly disappointed in at launch. And we've talked about some of the things they're going to address here with the big mid-season patch that's going to come and some patches that have already gone live. But they're going to bear repeating here. If it's something we've already discussed, going to kind of gloss over it. There are some areas that need to be discussed a little bit deeper, though. They jump right in with Guardian ranks and commendations, which I think we all thought these things are a fucking joke.
Yeah.
They're a fucking joke. Nobody likes these things. I understand what they were trying to do, but it's real bad. With a solid amount of data under our belts, it's clear we missed the mark on some of our goals and need to make updates based on constructive feedback. The first batch of Guardian ranks has proved to be an invaluable guide for our new lights. We want to improve the system for all players. It should be a useful guide season over season, which means they should reflect the most recent content in the game. Hitting the highest rank you can achieve isn't easy, so you should feel pride in showing it off across multiple seasons. We also expect players would become annoyed if they had to redo all the basics each season, so we're building in shortcuts to renew ranks you previously achieved. Pause. Yes, that was as more and more people in my orbit were starting to find out they were going to have to repeat shit every season, the more and more upset I was seeing players getting. I largely feel like I play with a fairly casual audience compared to a lot of content creators out there. Who are playing like 10 hours of Crucible a day on stream and things like that. It's like I am a fairly casual player, and like honestly, hearing that I was going to have to repeat this stuff each season is what made me just like stop caring about it altogether. Yeah. I kind of put off the last two things I needed to do for almost a month. I just didn't care. But I finally got to rank 7 the other night after reading this blog, and I'm almost to 8 already because so many things auto completed when I got there. Yeah. We've refined the goals for seasonal resets. Players should be able to represent their accomplishments across a whole season, and those who previously completed a Guardian rank should be able to renew that rank quickly in the next season. So, how is this going to manifest in game? Your rank displayed to everyone will reflect your highest rank earned last season, and if you achieve a higher rank than you did last season, it will be your new displayed number. So, say you finish the season at level 8. So next season, you would be displayed at 8, but if you get to 9, that would be your new number going forward.
Right.
Basically, it's trying to incentivize you to get to those top numbers all the time.
Right.
Players renew their previously completed ranks by only completing blue-tinted categories in the Guardian rank progression. Other categories will not reset. Ranks you do not renew will fade at the end of a season. So it's kind of like guilding, but you have to do it, essentially, or your number goes away.
Right.
Still a little silly, but whatever. Commendation counts will be reset each season to reflect your experience with the newest content. Your commendation score and breakdown will be tracked each season, and you'll only lose a percentage of your commendation score each season rather than having it reset. As the year goes on, it's important we track your achievements throughout the seasons. In Season 21, we're adding a new display to the Journey screen that will show your recent seasonal history. This will include Guardian ranks, commendation score, commendation breakdown, seasonal challenges, and seasonal triumph score. I don't know why I would ever care about this, but cool. This feels like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I think that, the screen that this is on, fine. Is the commendation score actually going to work for us to inspect on console by that point? Because it's 5 weeks in and I still can't click that without my game crashing.
Yeah.
I
just kind of stopped going to the screen altogether, to be honest.
I don't, because I track so many objectives.
Yeah.
And it's actually really easy for me to track multiple objectives. Now you can track up to 6 from across triumphs, guardian ranks, and challenges. So it makes it really easy for, like, if I want to go in and work on nothing but Gambit stuff, I can track all my Gambit challenges at once, which is really nice. That'll help the end of the season grinds and things of that nature. Forever 6. Sure. Yeah. With several of our objectives for Guardian ranks were initially overtuned, and we placed too many objectives in certain ranks, leading to the very appropriate meme of most players being Forever 6 at launch. We've taken a step back to look at how things could be improved. Shortly after launch, they moved the Lost Sector completion and the reduced commendation objectives. Longer term, Returning players will now start at rank 5, and ranking up from 5 to 7 will be faster than it was to rank up from 6 to 7 at launch. Rank renewal will be fast tracked, so most players will have quickly renewed rank 7 by playing seasonal content, earning artifact power, completing seasonal challenges, and trying out the newest exotic. We're planning on remixing ranks 6 to 11 to provide a better expression of skill between those ranks. Once these changes are out in the wild, we'll continue to monitor the data to determine which other long-term changes are needed to ensure we feel good about our updated objectives. Although it was initially exciting to see over 100 million commendations granted in the first 2 weeks, where we made the system tied too closely to progression, we know we have to work to do to get commendations to a better place, and plans are already in motion. In the update on March 30th, we made reductions to commendations requirements. We've already talked about these. In the coming weeks, we're planning on additional updates to make giving and receiving commendations more meaningful, including updating eligibility for commendations based on activity participation or a lack thereof, and adding a new commendation, Best Dressed, which all of us, I think, were yelling from the beginning we need it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to reward drip. But also, like, I kind of don't want you to be eligible if you went AFK for like 10 minutes in a strike.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be eligible to get anything. And I mean, and to be fair, I don't give those people anything at all. Yeah. I'd rather give myself their commendations personally. And starting in season 21, objectives to receive leadership commendations in rank 10 and 11 will be retroactive for the season. So raids and dungeons you lead from day 1 will count towards your progress. I like that. And I do think that they have a good paragraph here that I want to note before we get out of like commendations, give our final thoughts on that and Guardian ranks. Building social systems is always challenging. Even in a studio with hundreds of people, you never know how things are going to behave in the real world until we put them in the hands of the players. The best part about this community is you're not afraid to give us input. Constructive feedback is always appreciated and essential to helping us get things into the best possible state for everyone, and we'll keep monitoring and evolving our systems so they can reach our goals. I don't think that these changes necessarily move the needle that much, personally. I think there's still a lot more work that's going to have to be done. I think that like the commendations, they're approaching that the right way, but Guardian ranks, I feel like we're with the jump from like 5 to 7, you're still going to have the exact same problem you did with 6. Everybody's going to be a 7 now.
Yeah.
I think that this is still really, I just think it's really weird. And I'm not saying like, oh, you know, you need to make it to where you can do what you don't have to do a raid until like rank 10. Like, no, they want to show your mastery of things. And to be fair, I think there's a lot of 7s running around out there now, and those are typically the players that you can tell like, okay, they've probably been playing for a little while. The 8s are a little bit, you know, less common, and then I mean like 9s are, I feel like 9s are fairly rare. I haven't seen a single 10 in the wild yet personally.
Yeah.
I think that I still think the idea behind them is really cool. I just give me a reason to care about it. Yeah. You know, give me a reason to care about these. I wouldn't be shocked if when Moments of Triumph comes around at the end of the year that they make commendations, total commendation score for the year, and you know, maybe like highest Guardian rank achieved actually matter.
Yeah.
For the title, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like a better idea than
I think it would be interesting.
Plan.
And I mean, like, and people aren't running in and like cheesing it on Petra's end anymore, or Petra's run anymore. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
We've already talked about difficulty adjustments before. We talked about those last week. Those can pretty clearly be felt. I ran the Vexcalibur mission, and it was noticeably smoother, I think, than it was previously. It feels really, really good. I like it. And it's pretty, I think it's becoming clearer and clearer to them that they're going to have to adjust these things based on the activity. They even say here, the modifiers for legendary campaign feel great in single player campaign missions scaled up to 3 players. They did for the most part, but they've become oppressive in a ritual focused 3-player activity like Avalon. Even Nightfalls, which have far less aggressive enemy HP tuning than the legendary campaign, can feel overwhelming when played multiple times in a row. Yes, specifically the Mars Battleground. Mars Battleground.
Oh yeah.
So Legend and Master activities, we've talked about these. These all went live on March 30th, but I think it bears repeating again. Legend and Master activities, enemy HP scaler reduced by 10%. This includes all non-raid and dungeon content with Legend and Master monikers. Legendary activities such as legendary campaign missions are generally not affected. Legendary Avalon got its own tuning. And this is fucking wild to say out loud. Co-op scaler converted to Legend Nightfall levels rather than Legendary Campaign. Enemy HP should be reduced by 33% in a full fire team. And there were still a few parts of that got nutty with 3 of us.
Yeah.
I will be earning all of my catalysts before they nerf the Wish energies.
Yeah. Better go do that now, guys. Go do it now.
It's funny because I don't generally think that it's like actually that bad. I think the Hydra boss is actually worse. And that's because you're in like it's a much smaller area and it's very oppressive with the ads. I think that this one isn't too bad. It's just you have to burn so much heavy on Brachion in the first phase that in the second phase it's like, okay, I can kind of see like where you would be fine if you had ranged weapons, but just by the time you get to the third one where he's chasing you around, it's oppressive, man.
Yeah.
That it's rough. It's really rough. So we'll see how that shakes out. I plan on getting my last 2 catalysts before they change this. I have a feeling the mid-season patch is going to address this, even if they aren't announcing it yet.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too.
And I don't think you're locked down on how many catalysts you can get in a week. I think you can do 3 runs and get all 3. You just have to do 3 individual runs. You can't get them all in one run, unfortunately.
Right.
So my advice: go do it now because this is a gigantic pain in the ass. Yeah. Heist Battlegrounds. This is coming in the mid-season patch. Oh man, Heist Battleground Mars, decreasing how often combatant waves spawn on higher difficulties in the towers phase, increasing the map score multiplier to help players reach score goals without exploits, and adding an additional ammo crate. Good, because I heard that this was basically not doable. Other Heist Battleground changes: reducing frequency and number of some combatant waves in all boss fights, reducing health of Death Tongues. Hive Runes now have the same health on all difficulties, and thinning out the Fallen Trip Mines in Heist Battleground Moon. So these are changes that are being added to them, like regardless across the game. The first 3 specifically are dealing with Battleground Mars. Mm-hmm. So that's a little funny, and they even have to have a section for Neo Muna Patrol. We've already talked about the things that they're changing. Which includes the spawn rate of the Vex Strike Force event, which I'll tell you, I have not noticed an increase in that at all. I haven't seen one since they said they updated it, and I've been on Neomuna a lot. Yeah. Partition activities are now replayable each week after earning your initial Pinnacle Power reward, reduce the spawn rate of turrets, and reduce the rate that rank and file enemies are replaced by orange bar enemies. In a future patch, certain patrols will be easier to complete. What patrols were hard to complete here?
What do you mean, Josh? You mean you weren't struggling to complete patrols?
Dude, no, I'm struggling to find a fucking red border on the planet. Jesus. I've done so many VIP patrols that do not result in a red border that I'm just getting frustrated. I would really like to be able to craft this awesome pulse rifle. I don't really care about the other weapons, but damn, at least let me buy a weekly one from Nimbus or something. I think it's silly that you're not guaranteed a red border anywhere. But maybe even my first terminal overload of the week guarantees me a red border out of the chest. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's completely silly. And speaking of terminal overload. We've heard the feedback that daily terminal overload area feels empty both before the event is active and while it's going on. We need to do a better match of matching you with Guardians who are interested in a fight and not just driving past on their Sparrows. The Terminal Overload Director Node now reliably matchmakes you with other players who are participating in Terminal Overload. I use this as a fast travel point, guys. I'm really sorry to anybody that I've just pieced out on. And I think a lot of us have the problem of we load in and we're automatically just looking for that wave 3.
Yeah.
We don't want to go through the other bullshit. So if you are one of the ones that pushes it to wave 3 by doing waves 1 and 2, we salute you.
Yes. Thank you for all the people who are on wave 3. I've spawned in 3 times last week with the boss already there. Just
oh dude, I love spawning in when the boss is already dead and you can just run over the chest. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It counts.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Season 20 continues in this about lost sectors, and certainly the start of season 21 we feel both legend and master lost sectors will feel approachable for regular players. We aren't planning on making any difficulty changes specific to lost sectors at this time, aside from the 10% enemy HP scalar reduction we noted above. We do have some changing to exotic acquisition to share below. I think they're going to have to do another pass on these.
Yeah.
I personally don't think they're too oppressive, but I do think that they're still a little bit too much for an activity you're meant to be able to grind out for an exotic. An exotic you can't even like guarantee yet. Threshers,
Yeah.
obviously Threshers have already been patched. They got patched on the 23rd of March because it was just awful. They're still bad, but they're not as bad.
Mm-hmm.
Their health is fucking wild. They're still wild.
Yeah.
I think their health is still absolutely bonkers. Vanguard scoring and reputation. Yeah, I think that the targets have been really hard to hit. We have a great many of friends who are stuck trying to go from 7 to 8 or 8 to 9, even 9 to 10, because of the scoring. Because the
Yeah.
scoring just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
In a future patch, we will take a pass at low map score multipliers and individual objectives to make sure everything feels better. Specific Guardian ranks, Nightfall scoring objectives, and Legend Dares of Eternity bounties. Add a throttle to prevent certain exploits as an optimal score strategy. After Season 20 concludes, we plan on doing a full review of Vanguard scoring over the entire season and may have other tunings to make. I mean, I really think that you have the data you need now. I would imagine they're only waiting for Grandmasters to see how that's going to shake out.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the absolute one of the number one things here. I can't. They split this up, so we're gonna jump around a little bit. Exotic armor drop rates. Okay, this has been one of my things I've been harping on for well over a year now. But when we built Legend and Master Lost Sectors and Beyond Light, we envisioned them with two main gameplay goals. Players should have a place to test their builds solo against endgame content. Players should have a place to acquire new rolls of exotic armor with some amount of determinism. In a year since then, quite a few things have changed. We left Lost Sectors uncapped for combat difficulty in Lightfall. Unlike Nightfalls and Raids, we put them at the same activity level of other Legend and Master activities, knowing players might struggle early in Season 20, but would eventually be able to level up and master them. Since we aren't raising the pinnacle cap in Season 21, players would start that season ready to attack them. We also realized we placed a lot of pressure on Lost Sectors as a source of exotic armor. We agree they aren't currently a great method for new players to acquire exotics from Beyond Light onward until they've played enough, and that with the new activity level changes, they may become even less welcoming to many players. Yep. We also agree that their utility for targeting specific drops is becoming less reliable as we add more exotics each season, and this will only continue. They say that they've increased the exotic drop rates in Legend and Master Lost Sectors. I kind of think that's bullshit. But sure, whatever. Once most of the player base completes their yearly power climb, we will again reevaluate completion times and rates for rewards. Y'all should probably do that now. Lost Sectors aren't the only exotic source in town, though. In an upcoming update, the Vex Strike Force event in the Vex Incursion Zone will drop a new piece of exotic armor if you have any left to collect on a knockout list with no slot limits like Lost Sectors have. If you don't have any exotic armor left to collect, it will drop a random exotic roll. So that's really welcoming to those of us who have several exotics left to earn from, say, Witch Queen and now, obviously, into Lightfall. I kind of like this as a source for in the future because if you only have that one piece left, like say there's a new exotic introduced next season and that's all you have to get, you're guaranteed that if you go do the Vex Strike Force event and complete it. I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly better than some of the bullshit we're going through. But I want to jump down to something for season 21. I'm really baffled as to why these weren't next to each other. But exotic armor focusing is finally coming, Corey. It's finally here. I've only been asking for this for forever too. This is a gigantic middle finger to Xur, by the way. They basically told Xur, "Fuck you, you're useless."
I know.
They gave this to Rahul, which I'm a little baffled by, but
oh, that's so funny though.
we're adding exotic armor focusing to Rahul in season 21. When this goes live, all exotic Ingrams, aside from drops from activities that award exotics, which are Lost Sectors, Vex Strike Force, and Nightfalls, will no longer auto-decrypt. These will sit in your Engram inventory and can be focused at two different tiers. Advanced Decryption. Focus an exotic Ingram to a specific entitled release. Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, etc. Just like now, exotics that came out alongside seasonal releases are always included in the previous yearly entitlement. Cost is 1 exotic Ingram, 1 Ascendant Shard, and 30,000 Glimmer. This on its own is not bad. I don't think that that's unfair to spend a golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's the next one that's bad. So I want to offer a critique here. One, you're going to have to give us more slots for the Ingrams that you can carry,
Mm-hmm.
because even though we have now successfully gotten rid of Umbral Ingrams, you still have primes. You have bright Ingrams that can drop, and now you're going to have exotics that are stored in there. This is reaching Destiny 1 levels again of kind of silliness.
Yeah.
So
I almost feel
little.
like these they should just have like I know they're not going to change how many you can carry in that one
Mhm.
slot, but these like anyone that drops should go like they should go straight to either Raul or Postmaster or some sort of, I think Raul actually makes more sense where it just kind of keeps track like when you level up a
Yeah,
vendor, right? Like it keeps track of how many engrams you've
which has
earned.
been a great change, by the way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so like I think that's kind of what they should maybe look into doing.
Let's talk about the silly one, though. Precision decryption.
Mm.
Directly focus the exotic armor you want. Okay. Sounds good, right?
It's thumbs up so far.
Therefore, it will have a higher cost. I saw those words and I went, oh no.
No, no.
One exotic Ingram. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
60,000 Glimmer. That's a little
Okay.
rough, but okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's still cheaper than me buying something out of the kiosk, I'll have you know.
True.
3 Ascendant Shards.
Jesus Christ.
3 golf balls and 1 exotic cipher. I'm actually completely down for the exotic ciphers. I have never actually used one of these things because I've never had to.
Right.
Aside from getting my Anarchy. Anarchy is the only no, I didn't even have to do it for Anarchy. I take that back. Anarchy I got to drop organically. I've never had to use an exotic cipher. So I have these things sitting all the way back to when they were introduced, still just chilling.
Yeah.
So I've got like 15 of these suckers saved up probably. They are going to increase. I love how they don't address the golf ball issue here. And the note is we plan to raise the exotic cipher stack limit from 1 to 5. Whoopee! I'm so happy for that. I'm so thrilled that if I need to get like 3 or 4 rolls of something, that is so many golf balls. Like Johnny and I were talking about this last night. We both have golf balls stacked up on multiple characters.
Yeah.
And in our post offices, because we don't have enough room, it's time to drop the cap. Enough things need golf balls now and need multiple of them at that.
Yeah.
Because you need several of these to fully upgrade a piece of exotic armor.
Yeah. You
Like
need 3 of them.
say that you spend 9 of these trying to, and we also have no guarantee on rolls for this, which terrifies me that I'm going to do this and I'm going to get like a natural 57.
Yeah. A little gross.
These need to be guaranteed to 63 or higher with the absurd cost you want us to pay.
Yeah.
My proposal is that you change this. You change it to where when you're focused decoding one, maybe you pay 3 or 4 prisms and you pay 1 golf ball here. I don't think 1 golf ball is outlandish to specifically focus something, because you're going to have to masterwork it. You're going to have to spend another 3 anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
that's
agree.
outrageous. If you're not going to change the cap, that's where you need to go. If you're going to change the cap and make these things easier to get, great, go for it. Keep the 3. But you have to make them easier to get for players who don't grind out Grandmasters. And I think that because they're the ones who need to be able to focus decode these things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on top of that, you have to have unlocked it before you can do a focus decode. So, who is this supposed to help? This is maddening, because this is something that should be helping all of us.
Yeah, well, this seems like for someone who like I have a natural roll 61 armamentarium, and I've never gotten anything higher or with stats that I like, right? So this seems like
you have to build around it on top of that.
Yeah, so this seems like that thing where like, oh well, I have this piece of armor that I really like, but I want better stats, but then you risk like not getting that, just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Anyways, that was my rant.
It's maddening. It's frustrating. This should be such a slam dunk, and instead we're sitting here going, what the fuck, guys? Like, this is actually read pretty decently so far, and then we get to this and it's just like a giant curveball. They're gonna have to take, I don't know who looked at this and said, yeah, let's release this information out to our player base. All that stuff you guys said about how we're an understanding fan base earlier, throw that out the fucking window. Because we're all, by and large, pretty pissed about this one.
Yeah. Wow. That's...
This is unbelievable. Unfucking real. Unfucking real.
It's rough.
Yeah. You'll be able, as before, you'll still be able to decrypt them at Rahul with no focusing for free. Note that you can't get new pieces of exotic armor from focusing, so you'll need to collect them from Vex Strike Force or Lost Sectors in the meantime. In the future, we're looking to move acquiring new armor to a more accessible location. Guys, this is something that should have been done years ago. I really can't believe that we are on year 3 of us going, you've got to make this better to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like they noted, it has only gotten worse.
Yeah.
It has truly only gotten worse, as there are, like, I think Warlocks have had like 4 new gauntlets introduced in the last 2 years. Like, that's insane. And now with like the difficulty change, it's not like, oh, I can even wait for like the easy Lost Sector to do. It's like, no, even the easy ones are a little bit of a pain in the ass now. I noted how last season I did like 40 something Lost Sector runs during a week trying to get Gear Falcons to drop, and I didn't get a single exotic chest piece, let alone Gear Falcons to drop.
Wow.
So what the fuck? Yeah, there's some things that need to change, but I really like how that's the last thing in this post too, by the way.
Yeah. Let's end on a downer.
Yeah, let's end on a fucking downer. Let's talk about some of the good things though. There are a few good things that they have noted here for season 21. Build crafting updates. One of the most common pieces of feedback we've received on the new armor mod system is players would like to better integrate their subclass and armor mods by having a way to gain armor charge by picking up stasis shards, void breaches, fire spites, and ionic traces. The artifact perk in season 20 that allows you to do so with fire spites has proven to be a popular one, so we decided on a more permanent solution that covers all subclasses, including Strand. Likewise, many players miss the ability to be able to build into being able to gain armor charge without having to get right up into the thick of things. While the increased number of ways to generate orbs of power warrants requiring Guardians to push forward into combat arena to collect them and gain their armor charge, we do want to provide some ways for players to opt into a more generous collection method through build crafting. So we're getting 2 new mods in Season 21 to replace key features many players are missing from their pre-Lightfall builds. Powerful Attraction. When using your class ability, you collect all orbs of power within a radius determined by the number of copies of the mod you have equipped. The requests for a Seeking Orbs mod that would allow orbs to track to you did not fall on deaf ears. However, adding such functionality to an object that is spawned as frequently in such numbers, and for all fire team members, not just the creator, could create memory, performance, and latency issues. So I think this is a fair middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Fair middle ground. Very excited for this one. I will 100% be using this because you have to collect the orbs in order to get charged with light. Oh, well, what used to be charged with light.
Yeah.
And then elemental charges. Collecting the subclass collectible associated with your damage type, fire spites, ionic traces, stasis shards, void breaches, etc., has an escalating chance to grant you a stack of armor charge. On Strand, this is granted by destroying tangles. The frequency of gaining a stack of armor charge is tuned differently for each collectible to account for the difference in frequency and volume of creating these collectibles, i.e. fire spites are going to be like heavily nerfed, same with stasis shards most likely. Additionally, you have a change coming to the shoot to loot weapon perk in season 21. You can now shoot orbs of power to loot them in addition to ammo boxes. I'm very excited for this. We are, however, with the explanations that we got on both of those, there is another one here. Design note, we did evaluate having the perk allow you to collect fire spites, stasis shards, and other subclass spawned objects, but technical limitations make this unfeasible at this time. It's becoming clearer and clearer that we're having a lot of problems when it comes to supporting Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah.
So these are features they would like to have, but they cannot introduce, I'm assuming, because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the minimum graphics card that they require PCs to have. I would suspect that that's probably part of it as well. Although obviously not as bad of a limitation as this. It's to a point. We were already saying we were saying this for months pre-Lightfall. We are at a stage now where they're going to have to choose between certain things making it in. Like Fire Team Finder is not going to be in it until the end of the year instead of with Wrath of the Machine, and I do suspect that is highly because they're having problems getting it to work on the old consoles. They probably have to be sighing a little bit of a sigh of relief that they don't have to worry about Stadia anymore, frankly.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think that developing for cloud probably wasn't that bad, all things considered, because they said they were using, even after their deal with Stadia was up, they were still using the Stadia servers for remote playtesting.
Yeah.
and we know that they did a lot with cloud. I suspect that cloud gaming is probably doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Xbox Cloud Gaming now,
Yeah.
but this is just the latest example, and I suspect we're going to see more and more of this throughout the year. This may be kind of a janky technical year. Like it seems like they're holding on just long enough to get Final Shape out the door on this engine.
Yeah.
But they got to come out and address that this year. I suspect that if we hear anything about future support, it's going to be in August if we hear anything this year
Mm-hmm.
with the reveal of Final Shape.
Yeah, I'm wondering. The more and more I kind of like hear about the technical issues that they're having just based on the old consoles specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they're going to finally like I wonder if anything we do in the Final Shape is going to carry over, or if like something I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be like if it carries over, it'll be like Mass Effect style, where it'll be like the new game, but you can carry over your Guardian and some other things, kind of like they wanted to do with between 1 and 2, right? But never really
we're
did.
at a point where they're gonna have to let you keep your stuff.
Yeah,
There's been too much that we've grinded for at this point, and you're introducing things like Guardian ranks and commendations this late in the game.
right.
Like, why not just save that for the they've been steadfast that Destiny 2 is the game, but at some point you're gonna have to cut support to the legacy consoles.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I think the Final Shape is probably the best place to do it just in terms of a clean cutoff point.
Yeah, I think the only other time you could have done it was the Witch Queen.
Hmm.
And I think that honestly, if the consoles had been more readily available and we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, that's probably the point they were going to do it at.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if that's why they delayed it initially.
I think that's part of it. And then it became clear that like, oh, we were coming out of it. We were making it through part of it, and then oh, we got smacked again by COVID 2.0.
Yeah.
Um, that seems like it was definitely part of it. Like China got hit with another wave after we did, and then we got it again at the holidays, and then China. It was just this whole back and forth. I don't think cutting it off at Lightfall. I think keeping Lightfall like probably was a really difficult decision for them. And now I think they look and they're like, well, shit, we probably could have gone ahead and done it with how much easier the consoles. I'm not saying they're like super easy, but they are easier to find now.
Yeah.
At least with PlayStation, I think there's still some supply constraints with Xbox, and I think this would be less of an issue if they still had the XCloud partnership.
Hmm.
Really, really, really need that initiative to come to everything soon instead of just Game Pass. But
Yeah, I'm just
I
man.
digress.
I wonder if I mean, I know the Series S is really built different than the Xbox One, but I wonder if that is going to have any kind of
I mean, we've already had this is non-Destiny, but we've already had our first example of a game not being able to come to Series X on day one in Baldur's Gate 3 because they can't get the split screen co-op to work to a level that Larian is happy with on the Series S.
yeah.
And they've straight up said like they will not release a game unless it can work on both because that's a Microsoft mandate first off.
Yeah.
But I think Microsoft's going to have to get to a point where they're going to have to accept studios doing that in order to keep games on their consoles. Like I was talking about this with our friend Ray the other day, and I really feel like this is probably this fall specifically they're going to wait to see how Starfield does on a
Hmm.
technical level, and especially Hellblade.
Yeah.
Between those two and Forza, like those are kind of like the three more intense. And at Starfield's not even that intense. It's a Bethesda game for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be pretty, but it's not like a technical marvel like Hellblade.
Hmm.
Um, that this may be the swan song for the S this year, just because it's not practical to keep making games for it. And then, like
Yeah.
I think that still you're gonna kind of run into like a new 3DS scenario here,
Hmm.
where like, hey, 90% of the games that we continue to put out are still gonna work perfectly fine on Series S, but there's gonna be a few that you have to have an X for. And to
Yeah.
that end, I think they're just going to replace the S with a digital X, which it's becoming more and more clear they probably should have just done from the beginning.
Yeah.
As much as I like my Series S and I
I
like having
love
it in the bedroom, I love
yeah.
it.
I love
I
my
actually
Series S.
I plan on getting one of those little travel screens for it actually,
Yeah.
um, so that I can hook it up like not just in my office, but I can take it with me when I go places. Um,
I wonder if Microsoft's way around that is kind of how they kind of get around it a little bit on the Xbox One now is through cloud gaming.
it will be, but I can't imagine that that's going to be suitable for a studio like Larian. Like for Microsoft to cut the
Oh no no
corners
no
on
no.
their own products, that's fine. But
Hmm.
Larian also has a reputation as one of the best RPG developers ever.
That's yeah, that's what I meant though. Like I
Yeah,
wonder if that's what Microsoft might plan on doing depending on how the games roll out this year.
we're gonna have to see how Redfall and Starfield are handled. I think
Yeah,
to see that.
I'm more concerned about Starfield's size than
Yeah,
Redfall because I mean the way they've described
Redfall
Redfall seems
Redfall
like
has a set map at
yeah,
least. Starfield has like what 1,000 planets or something.
Thousand Planets with some of the procedural generation stuff and like yeah, I don't know, man. It's
Which
gonna be rough.
to be fair, I think No Man's Sky handles that really well in the cloud. Um,
Yeah,
but
but
this is all like this is very obviously it's very different when you're creating like an FPS or an RPG on the level with like all the dialogue and the voice acting and stuff of a
right,
Bethesda game, or
right,
even something like Destiny. Like
yeah.
I that's part of the reason why we had the content vault introduced was they were so concerned about the size of the game, and I think it was primarily the size of it on the old consoles.
Oh
I think on
yeah.
the newer ones, most of us are like, well, if we could just like choose our content packs to download, then fine. Like, give us
Well,
one with like the classic raids.
plus the way they can design assets around the SSD and the memory and stuff in
Yeah.
the new consoles, they can compress that stuff pretty easily or not have to like load as much up into
Yeah.
the, you know.
I
And
mean,
so like,
also, like I think they were trying to take into consideration. We joke about it every time, but the PS4 is such a convoluted download process
oh my gosh, dude,
for their
PS4. Oh,
updates, and like for a major release like Lightfall, you have to have enough space to download the entire game, and then it deletes the old file. That
yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
That's actually insane. Who I digress. Let's move on to some happier topics here that I'm
Yeah.
very excited about. Seasonal ritual schedule. We're looking for ways constantly to improve our ritual schedule and have a couple changes players have requested for a while. We feel good about trying. In week 1 of season 21, that is the week of May 22nd, I believe. Uh we are planning to run Trials of Osiris. Since we won't have a power raise of any type in season 21, we can run trials earlier than usual with a reasonably level playing field. We're hoping this can be an ongoing change. If it's a week where no raid is launching, no Iron Banner is running, and no significant power climb is introduced, we think we should run trials as early as possible. Yes, let's do it. In week 4 of season 21, we are aiming to make Grandmasters available. Without
Oh
the seasonal
no.
power climb, without the requirement level changes, we are added during
Oh right.
season 19. We believe we can successfully launch Grandmasters early. This is only for the weekly Grandmaster. The Conqueror Gilding Node is still planned to open in week 7, which is still early. Week 7 is still fine.
Yeah. I forgot. I forgot that there's no power level increase.
Yeah. Oh no, these are good changes. I will say, I think this is a trial run. If this happens again, I see no problem with making Grandmasters available week 1 or 2. If you're not going to have a power increase, why not?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
harm does it do?
Yeah.
That's great news for people who like going and grinding that stuff out, aka A1 Johnny.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
then let's read my personal favorite little note
Look,
here. It's
if I had a
very
quarter if I had a quarter of the drive that Johnny had to like grind stuff out, I would be like, I don't know.
god tier.
Yeah.
Um, I love this little note. It's kind of sandwiched in here at the end, but I think it's a very important one because it's one that I've personally wanted for a little while.
Hmm.
I like to experiment with different builds, but I haven't wanted to change out certain artifact mods because I don't want to reset my whole thing.
Hmm.
Artifact perk refunds. In season 21, we're adding the ability to refund and apply individual artifact perks with a single click. We wanted to get this in for launch, but technical limitations prevented it until next season. This will make
Shocker.
overall build crafting easier as you'll be able to adjust your passive perks on the fly without having to reset the entire artifact.
That's awesome. It's
Love
great.
it. Great change.
Great.
No notes.
Great fix.
Great
Thank you.
fucking fix. Let's do
You know
it.
how many times I found myself resetting my entire artifact just to pick certain things because I didn't have enough things to unlock, right?
So I did this the night before the raid. I was looking at someone's Void Hunter build, and I
Mm.
was like, shit, do I have all those perks? And I was missing like 1 or 2 of them. So I had to go and reset my whole thing. But even now, there's times that I wish I could swap out one perk for another thing,
Mhm.
and I can't do it. I still don't see the problem with letting us unlock the whole artifact. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
Um, but I digress. I digress. Um, We do have a TWAB this week, Corey.
We do.
We don't have a lot in here. We really don't have a lot, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, it's just them reflecting and kind of going through Lightfall's launch and stuff, right?
Yeah, kind of. I do want to talk about these the big thing in here, obviously, which it's fun. I saw Fallout Plays describe this TWAB as hey, let's drop a whole fucking blog on them on a Wednesday afternoon, and then TWAB time comes around. Cosmo had a sandwich today. Here's what he put on it. But I am really excited to talk about these weapons that are coming back and leaving. I am one of the only people excited for some of these weapons.
Yeah.
Last week we shared that was your last chance to earn the adept version of the Trials of Osiris weapon, Whistler's Whim. The kinetic bow is out of rotation until further notice, although you can always get the regular version by focusing engrams with Saint 14. We don't want you to miss the opportunity to earn weapons that will leave the loot pool once season 21 starts. I don't know why we're still calling it 21, Season of the Deep.
Right.
So we want to share which ones will be out of rotation, as well as new weapons entering the rotation when next season launches. Some details are still being kept undercover because we don't want to spoil everything, but yes, there are new strand weapons in the oven. Weapons that will be leaving from Nightfall's Mindbender's Ambition, which is the solar aggressive shotgun. The final week in the rotation for you to get the adept version is going to be the week of April the 18th. And then Militia's Birthright is also going to be leaving. That's the kinetic grenade launcher. Its final week will be May the 2nd. Trials of Osiris, the Inquisitor shotgun, which is the arc precision slug. Its final week to get the adept version is going to be the 9th of May that week. Whistler's Whim, which is the lightweight bow, is already out of the rotation. Iron Banner. At the end of the season, we can say goodbye to Wizened Rebuke, which is the arc fusion, and Hero's Burden, which is the void submachine gun.
Mm-hmm.
And competitive, like we talked about last week, you guys already know that Rose the hand cannon is going to be leaving temporarily before coming back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the weapons entering, Corey. Also, right, like I should say for these, if you like aggressive frame shotties, Mindbenders is a really good shotgun to have. Mm-hmm. Especially if you can get the adept one, that's a very good one to have. I like Militia's Birthright, but I think that there are plenty of kinetic grenade launcher options at this point, plenty of breach loaders that are just as good. Militia's Birthright was really special when it came out because there weren't a whole lot that used blinding nades,
right?
And that's part of what made Militia's Birthright so good. Inquisitor, it's fine. It's not to the level that Astral Horizon is, which will still be in the pool next year. And then Wizened Rebuke, with some of the changes to fusions, maybe that'll be a good one for you to use. I don't know. I personally never jived with it. And then Hero's Burden, I mean, for a Void SMG, you're not running why are you not running Funnel Web?
Right.
I don't think Hero's Burden is bad, but
there's so many better. I think there's probably at least 3 or 4 options that you would go to before even thinking about using this, right? So
yeah. And then Rose, I mean, there's been a ton of time to earn Rose. You still have time. You have chances every week to get Rose. Weapons entering, I'm very excited about a lot of these. Nightfall, Braytech Osprey is coming back. I still have fucking PTSD from trying to get this gun for my Wayfarer title. You used to have to kill Nokris on the Nightfall to get this, and I remember Phil and I grinding this so many times to try and get it, and we finally got it. We must have run this thing like 20 times in a row. The last week it was available before that title was sunset in order to get this.
Man,
that was an absolute nightmare to get it. And then this is one that John and I were screaming about. We know Phil's going to be very happy about this one too. Loaded Question, the Arc High Impact Fusion Rifle. This is why I'm not like too upset about Wizened Rebuke going away. Loaded Question is back, man. Loaded Question's back. It's a fucking great gun. One of the best Vanguard weapons they've ever released. And continuing our tradition of, hey, we're going to bring back some of these pursuit weapons that are not called Luna's Owl, Mountaintop, and Recluse. Vanguard, Positive Outlook, a Void Precision Auto Rifle. I'm very excited about this.
I enjoy a good auto rifle. You know me, Josh.
You do enjoy a good one. Man, this is gonna be sexy. I'm very excited to see how this goes.
Fusion rifle.
I do think that I believe that precision ones are 360s or they might be 450s. They might be 450s. Either way, Void auto rifle. Very excited. Gambit is getting a fucking Gambit. Strand linear fusion rifle. I have seen some of the horror stories play out of people trying to get trust to this season and
Yeah.
seeing just how awful of an experience that's been for them.
Gosh, dude, Gambit. I don't even remember the last time I even tried to play Gambit.
Week 1 of this season is one I tried. I did not enjoy it. However, I will be playing a lot of Gambit the next time that it's double Gambit week because I really want the ornament for the glaive. I think the Gambit ornament looks so
Oh,
cool, and
right.
I
I
don't want to
forgot.
wait. I don't want to wait a whole year to be able to buy it from the kiosk.
Right. I forgot that they had different ornaments for the glaive. I
Yeah, I have
forgot.
the Crucible one on right now, and it's awesome.
Hmm.
So Strain Linear Fusion Rifle, Crucible. Randy's throwing knife is back. I'm so excited. Randy's throwing knife is back. Kinetic rapid fire scout. It's a 260. This thing
So excited.
fucks. This thing
I'm
fucks.
I'm really excited for this. I
Yeah.
will be playing way more Crucible than I normally do to try to,
I'm very excited. I will be, and if I don't get the role that I want somehow during an Iron Banner week when they give me like 50 million of these things, I will
Mhm,
dump all my Ingrams the following season to get a God roll Randy's.
mhm.
Very excited there. Trials. Messenger is back. Of course, one of my favorite weapons ever. I'm a pulse guy. I love this. It's a 340 pulse, I believe.
Mhm.
It's a high impact. Very excited for this, especially with high impacts getting the pulse rifle buff for PvE content. Very excited to break mine back out. Much to John's chagrin, I still love rocking my rapid hit one for all roll, which
Yeah.
is not a great roll, but I do it
No.
anyways. The other weapon is going to be an arc glaive.
That's cool.
I'm that was kind of the reaction of everyone was like, really another fucking glaive? Like I was even talking about this with Dealer and Oak earlier. And I was like, I'm stoked for this. I fucking love glaives. And he's like, dude, Oak was like, you got so many glaives this season. Why do you need more? I was like, because the only other arc one that we got, we didn't get Volt Shot on because Volt Shot wasn't a perk yet for what was it, Nezarec's Whisper. So I'm if this has Volt Shot, I will absolutely be in there grinding this one out. I'm very excited for an arc glaive, and I think I'm the only one who is.
I like glaives. I'm a
Yeah,
big
but
fan.
I can understand the bummer of it being a trials weapon. That's kind of
Well,
like
yeah,
the way
that's
that I
fair.
reacted to a bow. I was like,
Yeah, that's
okay.
fair.
I was
I,
very excited for the sidearm,
but
which I ended up not liking.
it might get me to play a little bit more trials.
I mean, it's probably going to be the first trial. It's probably going to be the week 1 trials weapon. It's the brand new weapon, and they want to drive engagement, even if it's for a glaive. I think that like casual players would come in and get them. So I'm very excited. I like shooting my glaive. I'm apparently weird in that regard, but I take glaives in the Crucible. So I digress.
I
Iron
look
Banner.
shooting a glaive, guys. It can shoot for a reason.
Yeah,
It's basically just a shotgun with a knife on the end.
it's
So
a long range shotgun.
yeah. So don't
It's
be
very
afraid to
fun.
shoot your shoot your glaive.
Don't be afraid to shoot your glaives, boys. Iron Banner is getting Swarm of the Raven back, which, if you were not around for the launch of Crown of Sorrow, this is the Void Rapid Fire Heavy Grenade Launcher. The original prognosticator of the Spike Nade meta. So
Mm,
interested to see how
right.
this one goes. Very, very interested actually, because I still have my OG Swarm of the Raven in my vault to this day. And a Strand Fusion Rifle will be coming to Iron Banner as well.
So wait, so that's two strand fusion rifles? Oh, one's linear though.
One's a linear. Yeah, the
Oh,
Gambit one is a linear fusion, and then this is
never
this
mind.
is a strand, just a regular strand fusion rifle
Everyone
in Iron
forget
Banner.
that I just said that.
And then Comp, of course, as we discussed last week, is getting a sniper rifle. It is an arc sniper that we are getting there.
Great.
And I think we got the archetype last week. I can't remember off the top of my head. That is honestly almost all that is notable here. There's cutscene archives from last year. They're now available to go watch. Everything from Season of the Lost onward has now been uploaded.
Great. That's
So
great. That's a great
that's
start.
actually a great resource, and they say they're adding to do that because it's a hotly requested feature. Yes, I'd also like to be able to watch these in game though, guys.
Yeah, that was my next thing. Was like once you get them uploaded on YouTube, put a theater in the game
Yep.
that you can, because it's not like you have to download these videos. You can stream them through.
No.
You can stream them through the theater. So,
Yeah.
but this is exciting. I'm quite happy with this. So
Um, for anybody who does not claim their Prime Gaming rewards, I highly encourage you to do it this season. There is a shader as a part of it, and I don't know if this shader has been made available anywhere else.
it's this red and purple one, right? That's what we're
Yes,
looking on.
Velvet Intention. I don't know. I genuinely do not remember if this is available anywhere else.
The ship kind of looks cool too.
Yeah, I like this. I'm very excited for this. I want it. I need it.
Get it.
I'm gonna get it. I'm very excited. This is gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time, Corey.
Always a good time, Josh. But this time
Always
it's
a good
extra good.
time. Um.
By the way, in the art section, by the way, shout out to that little tribute to Amanda. It's a good
I
one.
have not even looked at them yet. Honestly.
It's very little. It's like it's a Twitter video, but it's good.
Oh, okay.
So always appreciate.
I did appreciate that the world's first solo Nezarec was movie of the week. That's a little funny. I like the witness art down there too. I wanted to note that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. It is a good one.
Sorry,
Josh lost his place, so we're gonna sing a song.
Josh definitely lost his place.
Gonna sing a song.
All right, I think we're good. I genuinely think that's it. I think that's all we have here. I was looking to see if there's anything in the notes that I needed to read, and there is not.
Yeah.
Good. So I think we're good to go. Before we move on to lore corner, we have questions, and I want to go to questions first tonight, Corey.
Let's do some questions, Josh.
Let's do some questions. We've already answered two of them, but Ronnie asked us a Destiny question. Now you've both had time to soak most of the season in plus Lightfall. How are you enjoying it overall? More positive than negative? I would say yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us was like overwhelmingly negative from the beginning. I mean, we were both like kind of teetering on that like 7.5, 8-ish score for the expansion. And I think if you add in the season, yeah, I'd pretty firmly say everything I played over the last month probably puts this at about an 8.
Yeah. I would say for me personally, it's not as good as the Witch Queen and Season of the Risen. You know, I think it's far from that, but like that's a very, very, very high bar.
Yeah.
And the fact that a lot of the surrounding things around the campaign have been, you know, very good, if not great. And I really am enjoying this season and the seasonal activities and stuff. I have a pretty positive outlook on this first quarter, I would say, so far.
Yeah, I don't think that the season itself is like, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's like amazing either.
Yeah.
I think the 3 battlegrounds are actually really cool. I really like them. There's the one very maddening part of the third one is destroying the blights.
Mm-hmm.
That is really maddening if you're doing it with people who are underleveled or who just like don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That can be a very aggravating one, and I imagine on harder difficulties that's going to be an actual challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The other two I think are just good fun. I really like the other two. The story overall, I'm going to be honest. The seasonal story is where I kind of have some nits to pick. The Amanda storyline really just, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, totally honest, this is not a character I felt attached to in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, oh, cool, they finally gave her something to do other than background dialogue, and she's dead.
I wish they would have given her like a season or two of like prep before this, you know?
Yeah, I'm not even saying like it needed to be like the season before because that would have been too on the nose, but like she started being a side character in the seasonal stories with Chosen, and then she did some stuff last year too as a side character, but could we have like gotten her other than just like a little bit of Courtney Taylor dialogue? Could we have like gotten some like I think her cutscene would have been more impactful if we would have gotten it like I don't know during Plunder or like Haunted or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would have worked. I don't know how you would have worked it in, but I think it would have been more powerful if we had gotten it at some other point. It just feels very weird that we got the cutscene and then boom, we killed her.
She should have had some sort of like So, like a character with a storyline that I feel like could have like Amanda should have had one comparative to would be someone like Petra, right? Not like, you know what I mean? Like she
Yeah.
had more to do. She's not in the story all the time, but she's pretty important to like, obviously Mara and the whole Awoken kind of reef stuff. Like, and she's been in the story, a few times. Like, I feel like Amanda should have had that kind of impact on the story before we got something like this.
Yeah, it bothers me. It feels like very out of place. I think that if you had killed somebody like Petra off, it would have been much more impactful.
Yeah.
Because we've done so much with Petra over the years.
Yeah, especially like with Crow involved this season, and obviously
Well,
the
with Mara being such a big
Mara's
part,
and
that's why it
yeah,
feels so weird. Like,
yeah,
really?
yeah,
Amanda is the one you killed off here, and like not somebody who would be tied to Crow and Mara's story?
right.
That's a little strange. I mean, I guess she's like technically a part of Crow's story, but I don't know. I digress. I think that's like my one major complaint right now about the season is that I think it just
Mhm.
could have been done a whole. I think it could have been done a whole lot better.
Yeah, and I understand the effect it has on Zavala, right? But like
Hmm.
it it never really had that big of a impact at all. And
No, it was like Zavala's taking this really hard, and like I would have thought that he would be. I don't know, maybe like she could have been like a little supportive to him after like his past gets revealed to us and haunted or something along those lines.
right.
That's just kind of feels very out of left field.
Yeah,
Like, oh, if you didn't watch like that one commercial, you might not draw this correlation.
right.
So, um, do we have any other any other thoughts? I think we've like covered Lightfall pretty extensively, and we'll share some more seasonal thoughts. I think towards the end, but like in terms of the
Hmm.
narrative, I think we've shared enough
Yeah,
thoughts without
yeah,
talking ourselves in circles.
yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm overall positive. A few nitpicks, not as good as Witch Queen. But
Speaking of NPCs that we oh sorry, did you have another thought?
nope,
My bad.
no.
Um, Speaking of NPCs that don't get enough love, Zhao asks us, do you think we will ever get more shacks in the story? Whether it's seasonal or main story stuff, I need more shacks. So I firmly believe that the lack of shacks is due to the availability of the voice actor.
Yeah.
Um, Shax actually, up to Lance Reddick, was one of the last like major characters that's voiced by an actual like, and I hate phrasing it this way, like an actor who does more live action than voice roles. I was gonna say as an actual actor, but that's really
Yeah,
disrespectful.
yeah,
Lenny James voices him, which if you don't know Lenny James, he's Morgan from The Walking Dead.
hmm yeah,
Um, my man has been a little busy over the last few years,
yeah. Well,
so
The Walking
I
Dead
don't.
having 3 spinoffs and,
Well, and
you know,
he was a lead in one of those.
yeah, what, Fear the Walking Dead, I think he's
Yeah,
the
he
lead?
was in. So he was in Walking Dead for years. He's still in Fear the Walking Dead. I
Yeah,
should note that he's still in Fear the Walking Dead. Um, he has done almost twice as many episodes of that as he has of regular Walking Dead. But yeah, he's doing that all the time.
it's so crazy too because you see him in The Walking Dead and hear him in The Walking Dead, and then you hear him, you don't think of Shax when you see him, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
It's crazy.
you don't think of it, and that's basically really all he's been doing
Yeah,
since Destiny 2 came out, is working on Fear the Walking Dead. That's been the main thing.
mhm,
Um, he also created and wrote a show in that time. So I hope that they get him because I think his voice as Shax is so good.
mhm,
But the last time we really got like major Shax dialogue was the quest with Osiris and Saint when we got Devil's Ruin.
yeah,
And Shax was giving dialogue and he did the singing and things like that. That's
mhm,
really the last time we got Shax dialogue. Like, we're overdue for Shax to not just be a part of the seasonal story, but to be part of the main story. And at this point, I don't think there's really a way. I don't know if there was ever a way to organically weave him into a main expansion.
yeah.
I feel like he definitely should have a role in some of these seasonal storylines, though. It's
I
make here's my suggestion. So we kind of know that next season, all but confirmed, we're going to go to Titan, right?
mhm, yeah,
If what we're thinking happens, this last season of the year, they've already said they really want that to be like a refresher season for like their major activities going
Yeah.
into final shape. If you're going to refresh all the activities, why not have Shax be the steward of that story? I would love a story with Shax and Drifter together.
Oh God,
I
that'd
think
be
that'd be
amazing,
hilarious.
dude. That'd be so funny, especially because like usually that third season is kind of like the refresher or like the one where they kind of
Mhm.
take a break from the serious story, right? I mean, last year obviously Drifter
And
was kind
I
of.
think they're going to inverse that this time. I think
You
the
think?
final, yeah. So it sounds like the final season is going to be the one where they kind of pull back on the narrative a little bit because
See, I
Joe
feel like that.
Blackburn already said it in his State of the Game.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did say that. I
He
feel like
said
that's
that
kind
that's going to
of.
be their reset season.
I feel like that's kind of backwards though. Like,
It is,
especially
but
because like if the final shape is kind of like the last hurrah, I feel
I
like you
mean, I
need a
still
big
feel
season
like
leading up.
I still think you're going to have a strong seasonal story, but I think like when he talks about like they're going to focus a lot on refreshing the existing activities, I think that just means like maybe we aren't going to get like battlegrounds or something that season.
Right.
Like maybe it'll be I don't know. I don't want to say like a public event thing, but if you were going to do it, it's only going to be in the game for like 9 weeks. That's the time to do it
Hmm.
and focus on all your resources on doing other stuff. I think it'd be great to have, Shax talking about it, especially if they're going to refresh things in the Crucible and in Gambit and whatnot. I think having him and Drifter be a part of that, I suspect Zavala would have been part of it.
Hmm.
But maybe now with, Lance's tragic passing, I don't know if they had already done voice work for that season. We know they were still plotting out that season as of about a month ago.
Yeah.
Maybe they have Saladin step in
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be. I think that'd be really touching. But that's the one thing that I wish we could have gotten is a dialogue scene of Shax, Zavala, and Saladin because those three are so at odds.
Hmm. I
I would
mean,
have
we
loved to have
still we
gotten
still
more.
might. I mean, we know he has recorded stuff, right?
Yeah, I
So.
would say that getting him and Lenny to record at the same time or record dialogue for the same scene probably is the most outlandish part. Having
Mhm.
a scene between him and Saladin would not shock me at all because we've had some of those.
Yeah.
And he's Keidel's emissary, so
Yeah. Man, I know we'll address this at a different point, but I wonder how I just man, I
yeah.
feel so bad for that just whole thing, but I wonder how they're going to address the Zavala situation like for the,
Yeah, I man, I don't know when we'll be ready to talk about that, but at
yeah.
some point, like that is a question that's going to have to be answered. I kind of don't want to address it until after we see what's planned for the final shape.
Yeah.
So sometime later this year.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that big kind of expansion reveal we'll talk
Yeah.
about it.
Zhao also has another question for us. It's not a Destiny question. I'm sure there's many, but what's one game you never finished but really need to go back and finish? Corey, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Oh God. All of them. Man, one game I need to go back to and finish. I man, I've played so many games over the last few years that like I just don't finish anything. I think I finished 2 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Oh, Link's Awakening is one. I I played so much of it and I'm on the 7th dungeon and I just kind of stopped playing cuz I got distracted by something else. Metroid Dread is another one. There's a lot of Switch games that I started and never finished. Those are two. Those are two that I really need to finish. Although I've played Link's Awakening before, but the remake is just so beautiful and awesome that I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
So those would be those ones. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games like major games that I've never finished either. Like BioShock is one of the games I've never finished. Um, Probably should do that at some point. So
Yeah, mine is probably Horizon. I've never gotten past the 10-hour mark of Horizon Zero Dawn. I've put it
mm,
down both times I've tried to. I
mm,
just don't like it at all. I would also say The Last of Us Part 2. I've been in a really bad headspace mentally the last couple of years and haven't been able to bring myself to play it.
yeah,
I watched some playthroughs of it when it first came out since I didn't have a PlayStation,
mm-hmm.
and it kind of destroyed me emotionally. So I'm not fully prepared to sit down and play that game. Also, like, I'm not prepared to hear the fucking Pearl Jam song repeatedly because I love that album by Pearl Jam, and I'm not prepared to listen to that song 15 times.
Yeah.
Given recent events.
Yeah. Speaking of PlayStation, God of War Ragnarok is a game that I should probably finish too. Although I got like really bored with it. So
you should absolutely finish it. I'm ashamed, Corey.
I kind of didn't care for the last one either.
My god, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
20 hours into God of War Ragnarok, I'm so bored.
It's so
boring. I hate Atreus. He's the worst.
Oh god, I can't stand you. We're moving on. We're moving on in questions. Jiggly Panda asks non-Destiny question first. What is one game you're really looking forward to this year or next year? I mean, I think we can both answer. We both have probably two answers for this, and they're probably the exact same game.
Well, Zelda is one.
Tears of the Kingdom and Starfield.
No, I'm not. I don't care.
Oh god, fuck you, Corey. God.
I don't like Bethesda games.
Oh my god, I hate you so much,
dude. You've never heard my Skyrim story?
I have unfortunately heard your Skyrim story, and I forgot about it. God. Okay, so what's the other thing you're looking forward to then, Corey?
Oh, jeez. I mean, I'm looking forward to Star Wars, but that's I don't know if that's like top tier.
I'm very excited. Oh, dude, Jedi Survivor, yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
if Diablo 4 wasn't coming out this year, that would be in my top 3.
See, I don't care about Diablo either. I'm
Spider-Man? Do you care about Spider-Man?
No, I hated the last one. I was like, dude, I played this 20 years ago. I'm breaking Josh's heart, everybody. Man, I don't even really know what else I'm excited for. I mean, I'm excited for Hellblade, but I don't know if that's coming out this year. Josh hates me right now. It's fine. I accept your hatred.
I can't believe this.
I don't care about any of Josh's favorite games.
I cannot believe the horse shit that I am hearing right now.
No, come on, Josh. This
is unbelievable.
What else am I excited for? I mean, that's kind of. I don't know. I mean, I could revisit this question in like 3 months when we know what's coming out the second half of this year.
Oh my God, I can't stand you.
I mean, I will try Starfield, and I don't like Bethesda games, so
I can't believe you. I can't believe you. God of War is boring. You don't like Bethesda games. You played Spider-Man 20 years ago. God, Corey, I can't do this right now. I can't have this conversation.
Oh, man.
Jiggly Panda also asks us a Destiny question. I'm moving us off of this topic. Asks us a Destiny related question. If there was one exotic weapon and armor piece, what would it be? So I'm going to assume that this is if all exotics were taken out of the game. If you could only have one exotic armor and one exotic weapon, what would they be?
Oh God, Helm Save 14 and Outbreak Perfected. I don't know. I don't know what you want from me.
Oh man. Yeah. God, oof, man. I don't want to be a basic bitch and say like Orpheus rigs.
Do it.
Or Celestial Nighthawk, but I do think it would either be Orpheus rigs or it would be Gear Falcons. I just love playing Void Hunter so much. If I could only keep one exotic weapon, fuck. I mean, it would probably be Galley. It's not the most practical, but it changes DPS phases entirely. I would argue,
and it helps your teammates now too.
It helps your teammates. I think it's the most iconic weapon in Destiny history. I have a hard time arguing against Galley. I have a really hard time. I like Outbreak Perfected more, and I like Divinity for the utility, but Galley is just, it's so iconic to the franchise. I have to go with Galley.
Yeah, that's fair. Josh, I need to revisit the last question real quick. The games I'm excited for. I'm excited for Mina the Hollower, and I'm excited for Sea of Stars. Very excited for those games.
I don't know the first game you talked about.
Mina the Hollower. It's Yacht Club. Idea. It's Yacht Club Games follow up to Shovel Knight.
I don't know about it.
Yeah, so it's like it's got like a Game Boy Color aesthetic, and it's very Link's Awakening meets Castlevania 3. ish. So
I'd probably like it then.
yeah.
I also should probably revise. I have a 6th game to add. Hades 2. Hades 2 is coming this year, ladies and gentlemen. And Baldur's Gate 3. I can't believe I did this to myself. I have like 10 games. I've had to budget out what I'm buying when, because there's so many things coming out.
Well, good thing a lot of the games you're excited for are coming to Game Pass at some point.
One game is coming to Game Pass.
Hey, I bet Diablo ends up coming at some point.
At some point, yes, but I'm not waiting for that. I already have it pre-bought.
I mean, that's fair.
Because my girlfriend was asking how I want to spend my birthday weekend, and I was like, honey, Diablo comes out on June 2nd if I buy the Ultimate Edition, so I will be playing Diablo. After we see Across the Spider-Verse, the night it comes out, I will be playing Diablo for 4 days straight.
That's fair.
That's what that's what me and Ray will be doing, is playing a lot of Diablo. Yes. But Corey, we do have a lore corner to do.
Is that all the questions?
That's all the questions.
Oh my gosh. Discord. Come on. I know you guys better than that. Anyways, Josh, before we get to lore corner though.
I
have show and tell. I meant to do it at the top of the show and then I forgot. But I bought myself 2 ghosts for you video viewers. Indeed. I got Sundance, which is Cade's ghost.
Yeah.
And then I got the EDZ ghost, which on the bottom it says actually it just says Destiny 2 ghost. But yeah. So I'm very excited. Especially Sundance, man. This one.
Yeah, that one was on shelves for so long and then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah. So I also have the Mars Braytech ghost coming. So
ooh. I have a few things that will be coming in the coming weeks. I have a few more seal pins arriving. I finished my Virtual Fighter title the other night with help from Joasis and Andre.
Oh, virtual fighter. I thought
yeah,
no, Virtua Fighter.
The first time that I saw the name, I started freaking out because I thought it said Virtua Fighter, and it did not. So my excitement diminished, but I still earned the title. I think it's a really cool design for the seal, and I'll be ordering that sometime in the coming months since I don't have to do that for a while. And then my Excalibur plaque is getting ordered this week. So
nice.
We'll have some Destiny related goodies at some point in the far future. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. But Corey, let's jump to the lore corner.
Lore corner.
This is for Conditional Finality, the raid exotic shotgun from the Root of Nightmares. This is from the perspective of Nezarec. You will dream of me, I will never leave you. The sound that escaped me resembled a roar, a psychic echo. It soared through the air and pierced every corner of my ship. Anger coursed through me as I toppled the ground in a heap. I wheezed with each breath and clutched at my chest. I watched that witch saunter out like she'd won. My ship rumbled as she wrestled her primordial prize from it. I felt hatred, deep, unchallenged hatred. My claws punctured the floor, etched new patterns into it. I dragged myself forward. Whispers danced around me. Trillions of voices melded together in my favorite symphony. I had always welcomed death, and this time would be no different. An agonizing sensation shot through me. It was as if an arrow had bored its way through my chest. It burned, and I collapsed among the rubble. A green hue enveloped me. I was unfamiliar with this, her magic festering within me, shackling me. My body twisted. My breaths grew thin. My limbs became heavy, torturous. No, she could not hold me. I would not allow it. This would not be my end. My witness, I whispered as the void I once commanded claimed me. So yeah, kind of cut and dry. This is the final moments of Nezarec after Savathun betrays him and kills him. Right before the assault on Earth. As the darkness was coming to Earth, we pretty much know now that Nezarec was the one put in charge of causing the collapse on Earth and bringing the whirlwind there, and well, that failed. His pyramid crashed on the moon, was hidden, and Savathun took the veil and ran. Yeah. I'd say it doesn't get more cut and dry than that.
Nope. Sure doesn't.
I find it very interesting how he describes certain things. You know, when he talks about the primordial prize, that's presumed to be the veil, right?
Right.
They were kind of in a race to find it. Savathun found it, went and hid it on Neptune. Um, I love the idea that he talks about an arrow boring its way through his chest, and then he talks about the void claiming him. Um, Obviously, we don't know if these powers, if like void, arc, solar, etc., if those existed um, before the traveler sent the ghosts out. But I find that very interesting, given what we know about the hunters, obviously with the void arrows. Um, I don't think there's any real correlation there, but I just find that as an interesting word choice.
Yeah.
And then that he's basically like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna kill her," and then Savathun's magic destroys him from the inside out.
Yeah.
I wonder how much and I've wondered this a lot, and I need to do a little bit more reading because I don't think there's going to be a definitive answer for a while. But how much of her power did she have to use to kill Nezarek in his prime form? Because
Right.
we kill him in Root of Nightmares when he is just being reborn and has a fraction of his power.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary. I'm not just gonna sugarcoat it here.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like Rolk. The whole reason we're able to beat Rolk is because he lets his guard down and thinks that he can just toy with us, and we see his true power, and even that's only a fraction of it at the very end in Final Stand.
Mhm.
So I find it kind of fascinating that I've seen people going, Nezarek was a punk. Like, no, we beat a version of Nezarek that was at like 5% power. We did not beat Prime Nezarek here, people.
Right. Hmm.
But I find that very interesting, and of course, this is the pyramid on the moon. This is not the pyramid where we fight him, which makes it even more interesting because now I want to go back. He talks about creating etchings on the floor. I almost want to go back and play the last mission of Shadowkeep and like look at the floor of the pyramid.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody's ever tried to go back and figure that out, or if
I'm
anybody
sure.
even
I'm
cared
sure
to.
that smarter people than me have done it. But that would make me very curious to go see
Yeah.
if there was anything there.
Yeah, but
And the
that
other
means
one
you would have to play Shadowkeep again.
that does mean I would have to play Shadowkeep again and watch that weird ass cutscene at 30 frames
Mm,
afterwards.
yeah. Mm,
Our second one comes to us is the Nameless Midnight. Of course, this is the gun that's back in the Vanguard rotation
yeah,
this
the
season.
scout rifle.
This is
Gross.
incredible work. I've barely had to make any adjustments. The warlock flexes her gloved fingers, staring intently at her hand. Standing silently by the loom, Namrask wonders what it is the machine spawn sees. He wonders if he is making another mistake. The humans are on the cusp of a second whirlwind. It may be the guardians he armors today are only tomorrow's catch killers. Light starved, desperate, powerful. Will it be Namrask's turn to be abandoned alongside the hatchlings, the sick and the frail? Beside him, Ada One nods placidly at the guardian. An interesting commission. The warlock grins at Ada, baring her blunt teeth. Couple of heat sinks in here and I can rig up a stealth generator. Nothing fancy, but it'll be easier to keep the civvies safe if I can get in close without the Legion spotting me. Namrask stares and does not realize it until the Guardian looks up at him. Anxiety locks his breath in his chest. Hey, what's the word again? The Warlock seems uncomfortable. It takes a moment for him to realize she is embarrassed. The Lask? He nods mutely. Couple of Elixni on the last run. They seemed a little rattled, and I thought, maybe if I say, you will bring them back? Of course. The warlock nods at Ada 1 at Namrask. Thanks again. Wait, Namrask says. He turns and moves towards the materials stored in orderly piles by his workstation, digs through a month's worth of excess fabric and small woven experiments. Clothing, not armor. Cloaks and shawls, for Elixni, for humans. He presses these into the warlock's hands. For those that you find. I like the idea that everybody has to help with the war effort. That even the random Elixni that are hanging out by Ada down there between Ada and Drifter, like have a
Mhm,
story.
mhm.
Just like some of the ones that interacted with Amanda. The tower feels so much more alive than it ever has, with the Cabal, the Elixni, and the Awoken
It
armies being in the tower.
it does. Although I do kind of feel like that that cabal that's standing in the hallway where the gunsmith is kind of like
Yeah,
takes.
that motherfucker's got to move.
Yeah. Mm. Put him. I don't know where to put him.
I
Just
don't know where to put him either, but he is in the way.
yeah,
Put an
very much so.
Awoken guard there or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's very obtuse. I find it very hilarious, though. I want him to have his own backstory. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Um, I like the idea though that like with everybody helping in the war effort, it's very easy for us to forget about 801 because we haven't done anything with the Black Armory in 4 years now.
Right.
It really makes me hope that we are going to get a reprised Black Armory weapons suite later on this year. I don't know if we will or not.
I bet we do at some point.
I really hope that we do because that would be kind of the last like major set that and the set from Season of the not Worthy, Season of Dawn are kind of the last two major sets we haven't had brought back yet.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see those in some way, shape, or form brought back into the game. Of course, it has nothing to do with the fact that I want my beloved blast furnace back. But I find it interesting that everybody's just kind of cautious of each other still. Like this alliance has been there for a while, between us and House Light, and it's been going on 2 years, and everybody's still kind of timid with one another. But Namresk realizes like, okay, well, even if human society collapses, he's thinking about it. He's thinking about like, well, if this shit happens, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be hunted? Basically, am I going to be hunted for sport? Kind of like when we became raiders after the whirlwind.
Right.
So I find it interesting that he's still thinking about that when that's not really a point of view that we've had before.
Yeah.
And I do like that that he's got some association with Ada. That like, even because there was a whole story component to why Ada was able to do the transmog, and it was because the splicers helped her put it together.
Yeah.
So I like that they're continuing that story thread here. That's pretty cool. I like that we're giving identities to these factions outside of people that we will eventually kill.
Yeah.
It was one thing for us to have like Mithrax and Ido. Well, now we're getting others that are not antagonistic.
Right.
I just hope that I hope that we get some Cabal that way that aren't like introduced and then immediately killed off in the same lore chunk, right? Because they decided they wanted to Iron Banner fight Saladin.
Oh God.
We're running out of people here. Both of these species are basically they're not just endangered. They're the Cabal especially are bordering on extinct.
Yeah, I mean all that's really left is like Kaido's
fleet and the Shadow Legion. That's it.
Yeah, and like we're kind of taking out the Shadow Legion. So
yeah, they're close to extinct. That's why I still like really think that they get Mars at the end, and the Elixni probably stay on Earth with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of fascinating to see like how that's like changed their tactics. Also, like the Cabal are like, hey, if this is our end, this is our end. Whereas Mithrax is like, hey, my people are going to be here ready to defend Earth. Us and the Awoken will be like the final line with the humans. You guys take the Guardian with you and go to Neptune, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man, good shit. Good shit,
as they say. Well, Josh, I think we did it.
I think we did too.
This is good. I know I don't say it enough, Josh, but I really appreciate your time and your effort. And I
try.
This, even though you're probably mad at me, but it's okay.
I'm more disappointed than anything.
That's fair. Yeah, and so is everybody else in my life.
Jesus Christ.
On that note, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps us out. Join the Discord, the Tower Casuals Discord. There's also a link to the clan in there, so if you want to join the clan, you can do that as well. Josh, thank you for your time. Where can we find you?
You can find me at Josh_Fit, 2 N's.
Yeah, and you can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Tower Casuals at Tower Casuals. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.